Welcome back to the Pistol Report. Before we get started, let's do our 4 rules of gun safety. The gun is always loaded. Always assume that any gun is loaded. Don't put your finger in the trigger guard or on the trigger until you're on target ready to fire. Know your target and what's beyond it. And always make sure your firearm is pointing in a safe direction so the barrel's not covering anything you're willing to destroy. So let's move forward with a review from our last video. We discussed bullet diameter, we discussed bullet weight, and we even discussed the velocity or speed that bullets travel at. So let's go over something real quick. As we were talking about in the last video, you have your 9mm parabellum. There's parabellum and Luger. They're almost synonymous now, but parabellum is Latin for war. So parabellum means made for war. And so that was usually the ammunition when I was in the military that we were issued, because supposedly it was just a little bit hotter than the 9mm Luger. But as we go forward, we'll discuss my any new hole theory when it comes to bullet and shot placement. So the 9mm is actually the same bullet diameter as the .380 ACP. In fact, when they developed the round, the 9mm Kurz, which is what it was called in Germany at the time, is just a 9mm short. Then you have the same kind of situation with the .40 Smith & Wesson, which is a 10mm short. So if you were to convert standard to metric, .40 caliber would convert over to 10 millimeters. So if anybody needs any more explanation with this, please let me know in the comments and we'll cover more of it. So moving along, now we're going to study bullet design and what they're called. There's over 32 different abbreviations and acronyms for bullet design out there. So we're only going to stick with the main 2. I hope you guys can appreciate my shaky art, but just like the cartridge design we looked at, the bullet was a jacketed hollow point, which just means there's a cavity, and the depth of that cavity depends on the bullet designer. But there's a cavity in that bullet, and there's a jacket on the core of lead. And then you have full metal jacket or ball ammunition. Same difference. All they mean by full metal jacket is there's a copper jacket that encases the whole bullet. There is no cavity in it. It makes for easy feeding into semi-automatic firearms, and it's a lot cheaper than firing the jacket hollow points that are made for self-defense. So once again, you have your jacketed hollow point, you have your full metal jacket or ball. Both these bullets will kill. Both these bullets will do severe injury to people. The reason the hollow point is designed the way it is so that as that bullet is traveling through a medium, which I mean is once it hits the target, humans are made of mostly water. We have a lot of fluid and our skin is semi-permeable. So when that bullet hits, first thing it's going to encounter usually is clothes. And so sometimes clothing will get caught in that cavity, and the bullet will then act as it goes through the body as a ball ammunition. But it's still creating penetrating trauma. And we'll get back to that term later. But the jacketed hollow point is designed so that as it enters the human body, it starts to open up. And as it opens up and spreads, the wound channel that it makes into the body, that penetrating trauma, gets wider as it spreads, creating more friction and more resistance. So the bullet actually slows down a lot more than ball ammunition would after it enters a human body or an animal. And so it gets larger and larger until it actually folds back on itself, which some people refer to as mushrooming. Now, Nothing's perfect. If it hits a bone or it hits a door before it hits your intended target, it may work different. The position of the person's body or the animal's body means the bullet might behave different. But both types of bullet will put penetrating trauma injuries into an animal, person, or anything else. So until we come back for the next one, we're going to leave it off there with jacketed hollow point, full metal jacket, or ball ammunition. And until next time, take care.